Hey everyone, this is Elenbaas from Nightlight Astrology. Today we're going to take a look at Venus and Mars opposing one another, Venus in Aquarius, Mars retrograde in Leo, and we're going to reflect on this opposition from the space of a deeper philosophical point of view. Sometimes I like to cover the transits from the standpoint of what we may see in the mundane world, what kinds of themes and topics may manifest in our lives, which is super important because we want to be able to notice the planets in our experience. But then we also want to have some ways of reflecting upon their presence philosophically, spiritually. And so what we're going to do today is we're going to see if we can't place the oppositional tension between Mars and Venus, which is an ancient archetypal opposition. They rule signs opposite to one another: Taurus, Scorpio, Aries, Libra. We're going to talk about that archetypal tension and some of the ways that spiritual traditions have encouraged us to reflect upon the existence of this tension for thousands of years all around the planet, but also in the Hellenistic astrological tradition. So I hope that you will enjoy this kind of deeper reflection on the opposition between Venus and Mars that's forming. We'll also do a very practical look at their opposition this week as well. So you'll have a little bit of both. Anyway, that is our agenda for today. Before we get into it, remember to like and subscribe. Share your comments and reflections if you have them. If you have a good story to share, you can always use the hashtag grabbed or email us grabbed@nightlightastrology.com. A couple things happening this week and coming up that I want to point you to before I get into a little promo for the Kickstarter. I'm going to take you over to nightlightastrology.com. When you go there to the website, click on events and then go to in-person events. We are having a winter solstice gathering in person at the Grapevine Collective in Minneapolis. That's December 21st from 6 to 8:30 p.m. You can RSVP there. It's free. We ask you RSVP so we know how much tea and treats to bring. But otherwise, it's free. Come along, and we're going to have a little space for meditation and reflection. It's a nice time to ritualize around the winter solstice being one time of year that people have used as a point of reflection for a very long time. So we're going to get together and do that in community here. So if you'd like to join us, go to that in-person events page, click on the RSVP and tell us you're coming. In events, you'll see live talks. And this week on tomorrow night, I'm giving a talk on the 6th house. If you want to join that webinar, you can register and you'll get a link to attend live. This is a talk on the 6th house: slavery, sickness, sacrifice, and service. This was called the house of bad fortune, but is it really so bad? We'll talk about that, why it's a house that we have to kind of reckon ourselves with and have, in order to have a good relationship with the house, we have to know what it's all about. And I think this talk is going to do that for people, give you a little deeper context for what is sometimes a very difficult place. Anyway, if you can't attend live, you get the recording later. All right, well, you guys know that we're in the midst of our annual Kickstarter campaign. We have 1,562 backers left to go before New Year's to get to our goal of 1,937. We're getting close to about 400 backers that we've rallied the support for so far. Thank you. At the end of today's talk, you'll find a little video explaining the rewards that are available when you support the channel, including all of our class passes. You can find the link to the Kickstarter in the description of this video, in the comment section of this video. You can also find it on the website, nightlightastrology.com. What I want to do is take you over to the Kickstarter page briefly. When you support, you can make a pledge of any amount: $5, $10, $15, any amount whatsoever helps us. So you could pick a reward as well, and we have tons of rewards available. I would point you to the Astrology of 2025 talk that I'm not giving anywhere else. You can pick that up as a reward. My book, which is being released as an audiobook and text chapters, chapter by chapter. And so you can get exclusive advanced access to that before it comes out. Year ahead horoscope video will give you about 8 hours worth of year ahead horoscopes for all 12 signs. That's a great reward. And then you'll find tons of classes that we offer, discounts to all of our programs, bundles on the classes. So lots of good things available when you donate. And remember, any dollar amount really does help. We appreciate all of you who have already pitched in. Thank you. And as you know, every day I like to say a little something about what I think makes the channel worth supporting. I've told you a lot about what we put into the channel. Here are a few reasons that I think it might be worth supporting if you fall into any of these categories. So we're going to start with one today, which is this. If this channel throughout your days, weeks, months, year is one of the channels in your life, because I know we all have many things we listen to, but if this is a place that you go to for spiritual nourishment, for any kind of personal or spiritual guidance that helps you in your life, if you find this a reliable place to come and learn about yourself and grow and move through the journey of life with some feeling of support from this channel, then please consider donating and supporting the channel in the year ahead. You support all of our staff. This is how I support myself. This is how I earn my living. And we have 11 people on staff, several of whom are vital for the daily production of content. That they make their living as well through this. And then obviously this is something that also supports and sustains all of our affordable services. So we have affordable readings you can go through on our website, different tiers of pricing. We have affordable tuition for all of our programs. That we are able to do because our business model is runs partly through the Kickstarter and the sale that runs through the Kickstarter on our programs and stuff like that. So if you get something good of spiritual value for your life from the channel, please consider supporting us. Okay, on that note, let's take a look at Mars and Venus today. All right, let's get into it. We are going to be taking a look at Venus's opposition to Mars. And first, I'm going to show it to you on the real-time clock so that you can get a feel for the timing of the transit. And then we are going to unpack some lessons and insights for this Mars-Venus opposition that run a little bit deeper than a simple list of delineations, which, by the way, there's absolutely nothing wrong with. And tomorrow we will be unpacking some of those delineations a little bit more. Because I think it's good to cover transits like this from several different angles. We can have the kind of mundane level at which we talk about the kinds of things you might see in a more, in the sense of what may manifest, what may show itself. And then there are questions about where to place these experiences as reflective beings who are interacting with these events on the level of archetypes and symbolism, philosophy and spirituality. So that's what we're going to do today. Now, first, let's take a look at the transit. You can see right here, we have Venus opposing Mars retrograde. Now, this Mars retrograde has been in effect for just a few days, but it's still at that 6th degree. And what we're going to see here is between today and tomorrow, that aspect will perfect. So it's very close tomorrow, which is why we're still going to have a day to reflect on it, because it will very much be at play for both today and tomorrow and even into the weekend. Let's look at the overall timeline. So if I back this up just a little bit, you'll see that it's actually about 4 in the morning Central Time USA tomorrow, Thursday, December 12th, that the opposition is perfect. So let me just go by, let's get down to the minute here. We'll see that Venus is coming to 5:58. This is around 4:45 a.m. Central Time. That's 5:45 Eastern. I guess that would be, about 2:45 Pacific in the United States, anyhow. So that opposition is forming today and tomorrow. Now, if we allow this a little bit more space and time, let's go to... Let's draw this out just a little bit more. Let's give it 3 degrees of separation. That 3-degree range of separation doesn't fully occur until, about Saturday afternoon. So from now, and you could have easily been feeling this to start the week, which is why we started the week with a little bit of coverage on the week ahead, including it. And we've been building up to this. We did some horoscopes last week. So we've been thinking about this for a while, but it is in effect now, today, tomorrow being the intense part of the perfecting aspect, and then spreading out, finishing the engagement range by Saturday. So within that 3 degrees of separation, the fruit is on the tree and sort of falling off. So that's what I would recommend watching for in terms of the timeline for this one. That takes us to from today, Wednesday, December 11th through Saturday, December 14th as a little bit of a range. The 3 degrees within which this transit has started really was in effect by Monday. So the 3-degree engagement range sort of stretching from Monday through Saturday of this week. Okay. Now, tomorrow, like I said, I'm going to give you that list of what to watch for that I think we're all used to. And we've talked enough about this in advance already that I feel like I wanted to take some time today to give us some places to put these experiences in terms of spiritual, philosophical insights and reflections that run deeper than just what's going to happen, but where do I place and how do I make sense of and how do I make meaning from what is happening? That's a different order of question in astrology, and one that is always just as important as the question of what will actually occur, or how do I see what's occurring in terms of the symbols or something like that. This is something that in every astrological reading plays a really important role within the delineation. So a client comes, for example, and says, what's going to happen in the next year? And I may see a transit of Uranus to their natal Mars. And I think to myself, gosh, they're going to be emboldened, and they may have to break free from various structures, systems, or people that feel like they're antagonistic toward the individual's will. So I got like a kind of themes and topics and a timeline that I know match the Mars-Uranus dynamic that's occurring in their chart. But the second order of question is, where do I place such experiences in terms of my personal growth, in terms of the cultivation of my consciousness, virtue, healing? Those are questions that are equally as important, if not more important, than the question of the themes, topics, and timelines. Astrology has always been meant to do both. So today, I want to give us 5 lessons / insights for the Mars-Venus opposition that's occurring this week, given that obviously Mars is retrograde as well. And I'm going to share these from 5 different sources today. We are going to look at 5 different traditional wisdom texts and see what different wisdom traditions have had to say about Mars and Venus. But first, I need to offer you a little context for how I chose these texts and why. So first of all, Venus and Mars. Venus broadly considered the lesser benefic, and Mars considered the lesser malefic. What did those words mean, really? Did ancient astrologers think that planets were good and bad, evil and benefic? Like they sound like really prescriptive, narrow words. Not at all. Basically, the view that ancient mystics who practiced astrology begins with is that of an interplay of light and dark that constitutes the fabric of reality itself. That reality, what is reality? Reality is the tension, the interaction, the play, the drama of light and dark. And that the spiritual seeker will be polarized and torn apart by their struggle to manage, control, get rid of, deal with the play of light and dark in us, in our lives, in our minds, in our experiences, unless we come into a deeper understanding of the divine reality of light and dark and their interplay. And this takes many forms over many thousands of years, many different traditions. So it's not like everyone says the exact same thing. I'm trying to, kind of reduce to some simple perennial philosophical ideas that we can work with here. These ideas are, you'll see, repeated across the 5 wisdom texts that I've chosen. But when we think about Mars and Venus, we are basically placing the 2 planets into a category of oppositional tension that is fundamental to the way in which the entire language of ancient astrology is construed. From the way that dignity categories are established, rulers and detriments or exiles, exaltations and falls, the sun and the moon, the spirit and fortune distinction, the sect distinctions like a day or nighttime chart, the diurnal and primary motion versus the secondary motion. The entire language is that of a interconnected series of opposites whose tension, whose creative tension, is the boiling cauldron of life in the material universe. And these tensions are deeply philosophical prior to their ever being used as symbols to reflect the kind of concrete manifestations of the metaphysical tensions in the material world. In other words, what do Venus and Mars represent for ancient mystics at the core of the philosophy? Venus represents harmony and Mars represents strife. The 2 are a dyad that are absolutely inseparable, personified in the actual gods and goddesses of so many different traditions, and beings that we actually relate with, fields that we relate with, that we put on our altars in different traditions all around the world, that we see at work in ourselves and in the universe itself, in the cosmos itself. So is strife bad and is harmony good? Well, from a relative consensus-based reality, yeah. I mean, you and I would definitely describe, strife for most of us, people who cause injury to others, or the very presence of malicious and aggressive energies within ourselves or other people. We describe that functionally as bad. But we're all smart enough, and this is why people don't like the categories, understandably, maybe are rubbed the wrong way by the categories. We understand that there's also a role that strife plays. For example, there's a lot of strife, there's a lot of Mars in anything that you have to push yourself to do. A hot yoga class, weightlifting, running a marathon, developing skills that require hard work, persistence, and sacrifice, fighting or advocating, guarding and defending. These are all qualities that we recognize as sacred. We think of the image of a knight, or a warrior goddess, and we think of the virtue of a protector. So we can see the good in the bad. And sometimes if we flip it around, we can see the bad in the good. Harmony, pleasant things, enjoyment, sensuality has a dark side, like greed or vanity or lust, possessiveness. So were ancient astrologers aware that Mars is not purely bad and Venus is not purely good? Of course, they were not idiots. They came up with this language, not us, right? They were the ones who downloaded this language in the first place. And they saw, of course, there are nuances, just like the yin and the yang circle is black and white, but there's a little speck of black in the white and white in the black. Ancient astrologers were very aware of the interpenetrating nature of archetypal opposites, where Mars can be good and Venus can be bad and vice versa. In terms of our relative consensus experience of reality, can Venus be a bummer? Yes. Can Mars be good? Yes. But broadly speaking, we have to have symbols within this language, just like we have certain rules of grammar, syntax, diction, that allow for us to say certain things, generally speaking, about certain archetypes and symbols and the fields they represent metaphysically. And Mars represents strife. Venus represents harmony. Now, these two principles can also play out in terms of, think about the house designations that they were given. Think about Venus being associated with the house of good fortune or good luck, and Mars being associated with the house of bad fortune or bad luck. There's also an experience we have where it's like, this day has sucked. All this stuff came up that acted, it felt like it was thwarting me, and I felt like I had to persevere and work around things that felt like they were antagonizing me, that felt like they were out of my control. That's a strife experience. So no wonder Mars is associated with the 6th house, which was called mala fortuna, or bad fortune, bad luck. Venus is associated with good fortune. I had a lovely day today. Things went well. I paid off my bills. I have a little extra money in the bank account. Things are going nicely, getting along with my spouse. We had date night, the kids were well behaved, like whatever, and we go, what a good lucky day. So ancients also observed, just like Venus and Mars, that at work, at play, the interaction of opposites, good fortune, good luck, bad luck, good days, bad days, good stuff, bad shit, like that, are always at play. And there is a mysterious way in which the two are woven together. These things have been noticed and pointed out by wisdom traditions all over the planet, that life is our experience of life, our relative experience of life, and how we place value judgments on it works along the lines of opposites. My cup is full, my cup is empty. The sun is up, the sun is down. It's daytime, it's nighttime. This felt good, this felt bad. That there is a mysterious interconnection between opposites is fundamental to most mystical traditions. And so when Venus and Mars oppose one another, we have the mysterious way in which the forces of strife, Mars, and harmony, Venus, are at odds with one another. They have things to say about each other. They have feedback or criticism or critique. There may also be a way, as there is in every kind of opposition ever, in which some mysterious union between the opposites exists, even despite the tension between the opposites that also exists. So most mystical traditions have also taught us, including modern depth psychology, that learning to hold the tension of the opposites is the secret to their mysterious conjunctions and oppositions. So we have to remember when Mars Venus comes through, maybe there's stuff around relationships or power struggles, all the manifestations that we've talked about for a couple of weeks leading up to this transit that we'll return to tomorrow because it's good to refresh ourselves on. We can place them as philosophers, as mystics, as spiritual seekers. We can place the reality of these things into these philosophical like containers. There's a space in which we can understand and reflect upon these experiences. And it is that kind of reflection that we seek, so that as we walk through the experiences that we will inevitably have, where we will be at times hamstrung by the opposites, or we will at times feel torn up by them or caught in their push and pull. And we have to, because we're here to live a life and to learn from the living of the life. But one thing that is always open for us to do, there's always an opening for us to reflect upon experience. We don't want to bypass experience by some kind of arrogant, faux transcendence, right? But either from within an experience, gaining a little bit more perspective, a little less reactionary thinking or acting, a little bit more space to breathe. And then, especially after things come up, how do we reflect upon and create sacred space for what emerged? Because that, if we're not doing astrology to help us make our experiences sacred, why are we doing it? Right? Because otherwise, the only other real answer is that, in ancient mystic astrologers have said this, the only other answer would be that we're using astrology for the purpose of our addictions and attachments to material things. It's like a celestial gossip column. So, 5 wisdom traditions that have said something about the existence of harmony and strife as interconnected opposites dancing and playing their way out in reality, in our psyches, in our experiences. I'm going to read you some things and let's reflect on them. So let's start with wisdom from the Tao. This is the Jonathan Starr translation from Tarcher Cornerstone editions of the Tao Te Ching. I love this little book. I've done a whole series on it on my channel. Verse 2. Everyone recognizes beauty only because of ugliness. Everyone recognizes virtue only because of sin. Life and death are born together, difficult and easy, long and short, high and low. All these exist together. Sound and silence blend as one. Before and after arrive as one. I'm not saying that in the midst of a Venus-Mars debacle with another human being that we can step back and be like, let me Lao Tzu you. Let me use some mystical mojo to, skirt around this issue or pretend like it doesn't exist, or that I don't have to walk through the fire of being alive and moving through a period of time where strife and harmony are clearly opposed to one another in some way. But how do I make sense of the appearance of this opposition? I place it in that wisdom of the sages that says that the light and the dark go together, that they come together, they come as one. And if we study their relationship and their movements, we can grow wise. I'm not saying I have that capacity in the exact space of an event in my life, but this is why I practice astrology, and I'm sure it is why you probably like this channel. This is the kind of stuff that I go to. Let's go on to the Hermetica. This is Timothy Freak and Peter Gandy. I think that's how you say their names. I've read from this text in the past as well. This is the Hermetica, the Lost Wisdom of the Pharaohs. It's Tarcher Cornerstone Edition. Again, they published my book, so I like their little series. Yes. Here we go. Sorry, I thought I have this, but here it is. Look at matter filled full with life and see Atum pulsating with all he contains. To know Atum's being, contemplate him in thought. To see him with your eyes, look at the exquisite order of the cosmos, the necessity which governs everything you perceive, the goodness of all that has been and all that is coming to be. Contemplate the cosmos as his ancient body, which is ever prime and new. See the planets circling in eternal time. See the spiritual fire of the heavens turned to light by the sun and shed his goodness upon the world. See the ever-changing moon which governs birth, growth, and decay. See the constellation of the Bear, which never rises or sets, but stays ever a fixed point, an axle around which the circle of the zodiac revolves. See the comets, which are called prophet stars, for when some future fate awaits the world, they emerge for a few days from their invisible home below the circle of the sun. Who is it that maintains such an exquisite order? So you'll find that in the Hermetica, there is encouragement, and this is obviously, astrology was said to come from Hermes Trismegistus as its legendary founder. So the Hermetic tradition is very much in line with the early astrological tradition in that sense. And the Hermetica says at so many different points during the text that the cycles of opposites that we see playing out in front of us, if we contemplate them, if we take them in as a kind of meditation, reveal to us something of the nature of divinity. I think it is so hard for us to do because in order to do that, we have to do two things at once, or we have to know that it's okay or possible to do two things at once. To be human with a stake in our relative earthly material existence and consensus reality where some things suck and some things feel better. We have to allow ourselves to be right there. And we have to learn how to constantly see that experience as the play of the divine. That's a hard thing to do because we have to hold space for ourselves. Holding space for ourselves to be human and not losing sight, not letting our consciousness get covered by darkness or illusion, being able to see the divine at the exact same time. That is the path of Hermes, as above, so below, as within, so without. This is the path of astrology. This is what it's here for. Number 3 is the Bhagavad Gita. So one of my favorite wisdom texts, of course, I spent a lot of time with this text when I was practicing Bhakti Yoga. This comes from the 4th chapter, 22nd verse. Content with whatever gain comes of its own accord and free from envy, the wise person, I insert, they are beyond the dualities of life. Being equipoised in success and failure, they are not bound by their actions, even while performing all kinds of activities. There it is. You perform activities. You can't run from the field of Dharma. That is Kurukshetra, like the field of Dharma. And you can't run from it. You can't go to a cave. You can't meditate beyond it. And yet you can meditate within it. And the planets are the means by which we see the reflections of divinity, that we see sacredness while in and on the field. The opposites are present before us right now. Venus and Mars, harmony and strife, beauty and ugliness, virtue and vice, light and dark. And also the ways in which sometimes they flip-flop. What looks like it's dark is actually light, and what looks like it's light is actually dark. We can't be fooled by superficial appearances. When two planets are opposed, we have to study the perspective that each has of the other from each side of the opposition. And as we do so with more heartfelt curiosity and empathy, we come to hold that tension. And then we are given a creative seed in the midst of the experience and growth as spiritual beings. Number 4, Heraclitus, another one of my favorite ancient authors. The poet was a fool who wanted no conflict. Among us, gods or people, harmony needs low and high, as progeny needs man and woman. War, as father of all things and king, names few to serve as gods, and of the rest makes these men slaves, those men free. The mind to think of the accord that strains against itself needs strength, as does the arm to string the bow or lyre. From the strain of binding opposites comes harmony. The harmony past knowing sounds more deeply than the known. Whew! Love that. Wow. Now, you may take issue with some of the language, right? That's fine. Fathers and kings, like that language can be triggering. But what Heraclitus is getting at thousands of years ago, as often Heraclitus is compared to Lao Tzu, by the way. His fragments are often compared to the Tao Te Ching. Different language, Greek philosophy versus, Eastern philosophy, different cultures, different nations, it's different people, cultures. But one of the things they share in common is that the opposites bind us, and contemplation of the opposites is the path of spiritual enlightenment. I say that phrase, spiritual enlightenment, and like I have any idea what that means, right? But I think we all know, we've had a taste of it. Most of us have had little smidges here or there of realization. Oh, wow, there it is. Astrology is one of the ways in which we do that. And no better time to do it than when the goddess of good fortune and good luck and harmony is opposed to the god of war and strife and bad luck and bad fortune. What do these things really mean? Were ancient astrologers just prescriptive idiots who put these planets into boxes that reflected their narrow-minded, backward thinking from 2,000 years ago? I don't think so. No, not if you read at a very deep level what this philosophy of Hermes was all about. And it was about a profound respect for the way in which divinity is being orchestrated through the interplay of light and dark. And the sun and moon is another opposite. Saturn and the sun and moon are another form of opposite. Mercury and Venus are another form of opposite. Mercury and Jupiter are another form of opposite. The whole language is construed of different kinds of opposites. What a shit day. I feel agitated, very Mars, right? What a strong day. I feel strong and powerful, also Mars. What a beautiful day. I feel so soothed and comforted. I was really enjoying myself, very Venus. What an indulgent day, right? Very Venus. So when these two tensions come together, we know that it's not a mistake that these tensions exist. That they are manifesting right now is not evidence of something wrong with me, or something wrong with you, or something wrong with other people, or something wrong with the universe itself. We have to go beyond feeling like the fact that oppositions or dualities exist is a problem that needs to be solved. It may present itself that way on a relative level, and there may be, mundane problems that need solving, but let's put it back into this sacred ground that Heraclitus gives us, that the Bhagavad Gita gives us, that the Hermetica gives us, that the Tao gives us. Okay, finally, I kind of put two together for this one. I'm going to read you a quote from Marcus Aurelius from his Meditations. He's a Stoic who was around during the time that many Stoics were practicing astrology in the early Roman Empire, but also from Empedocles, who is a philosopher, came prior to the Stoics, who many Stoics were influenced by. So let's start with Empedocles, who says, "The force that unites the elements to become all things is love, also called Aphrodite. Love brings together dissimilar elements into a unity to become a composite thing. Love is the same force that human beings find at work in themselves whenever they feel joy, love, and peace. Strife, on the other hand, is the force responsible for the dissolution of the one back into its many, the four elements of which it was composed." So he's talking about them in terms of virtue, but he's also talking about them as energetic realities, that things come together and then they are cut apart. The one and the many are sacred categories, It's not that the fact that the one becomes many, it's not just a problem to be solved or overcome. It's a reality to be embraced, to be seen and understood and felt and embodied as a sacred dance. I love the way that that dance is represented in the tantric tradition, in Krishna Radha's love for one another. But notable is that he's talking about love and strife, these fundamental categories that many ancient mystics embraced as fundamental to our experience. Now, finally, Marcus Aurelius. The universe is change. Our life is what our thoughts make it. That's a good one. Time is a sort of river of passing events, and strong is its current. No sooner is a thing brought to sight than it is swept by, and another takes its place, and this too will be swept away. He who lives in harmony with himself lives in harmony with the universe. Nothing happens to any man that he is not formed by nature to bear. In all of the quotes, many more quotes from Marcus Aurelius, obviously a famous Stoic, we have yet another tradition that encourages us to see time and change in the material world coming to be, passing away, the constant river of fluctuation around us as always moving and fluctuating along lines of opposites. When we have an opposition between Mars and Venus, not saying you need to be a Stoic. Maybe Stoicism doesn't resonate with you, and that's fine too. The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. As astrologers, we have an incredible capacity to color our thoughts about our experiences and our events with a sacred language, with numinous symbols, with gods and goddesses, with a philosophy that embraces the existence of these kinds of events and experiences. And there may be nothing more helpful than that embrace for the actual living of life. If we can embrace life while living it, what more can we really ask for? So I will leave us there today as we contemplate the oncoming Venus-Mars opposition. We'll talk tomorrow about some of the very earthly things that we might expect, which is also good to look at. After I sign off, you can learn more about the rewards that are available when you support the channel. We have a long way to go. We're behind our backer pace, so we really need to pick that pace up. If you haven't yet donated, please consider supporting the channel and all this free content in the year ahead. You also support all of the good things that we do with the support we receive, supporting a staff, several people that are responsible for making sure this content goes out every day, and all of the need-based offerings that we provide as well. Okay, that's it for today. We'll see you again tomorrow. Bye. Hey everyone, thanks for sticking around. I'm going to tell you about the different rewards that we offer when you donate and support our channel in the year ahead. So you'll find a link to the Kickstarter in the description of this video, in the comments section of this video, as well as on our website, nightlightastrology.com. If you head over there, you'll see at the top of the page there is a menu item that says Kickstarter 2025. You can click on that and be taken over to the Kickstarter campaign page. So once you're there, if you scroll down on the right-hand side, you're going to see different pledge levels and different gifts and sales that we run as a way of saying thank you for your support. So among those, our most popular offering by far are the major discounts that we offer on our training programs. So if you are interested in studying astrology at Nightlight in 2025, whether you're a brand new student or a currently enrolled student who's thinking of taking one of our year 2, 3 horary programs, you're going to find that these are the best rates that we run on the entire year. And we do this as a way of both saying thank you and also of helping us raise funds to support the channel, our staff, and everything we do. So you'll see attend one Nightlight course there. That's about 50% off the total cost of the program and about $500 off the early bird rate. And then you'll scroll down and you'll see that if you bundle 2 courses together, the savings go way up. Bundle 3, they go up even more. I mean, the difference between the 2 and 3 class package is $200. So $200 more, you get 3 of our year-long programs. And if you get all the way to the 4 class pass, then you have all 4 years of our program. You can take them at any pace you like, renew them whenever you like. There's no timeline on when you use these class passes. And you will have all 4 years of content at about 75% off each of the programs individually when you get that bundle. So those are our best savings for sure. Highly recommend those. If you have any questions about our courses or programs, email us info@nightlightastrology.com, or look at the website under the classes page, courses page. You'll find information about each of the individual courses we offer. And then if you scroll up, you're going to find some of our other programs that are greatly discounted. Ashley's Herbal Foundations apprenticeship course, which many people are interested in who come through our Moon Circle that Ashley and I lead each month. You scroll up, you're going to find our masterclass series for 2025, greatly discounted, as well as our Roots and Spheres Moon Circle, greatly discounted. There's hundreds of dollars of savings in each of those. So we really try to make sure that the Kickstarter acts as a good flash sale for all of our programs. You'll then find some really nice prices on previous archives, archive talks, like our 2024 archive masterclass bundle, which is about 30 hours worth of content on specialized topics in astrology. You can see the topics listed in each of the bundles as you scroll through. 2023's masterclass bundle, huge savings on those and a lot of really great content. You'll see a few reading options as you continue to go from the bottom to the top. You'll see the 2025 year ahead mini reading. There's only 30 of these. These are individualized birth chart readings that I do, looking at the most significant transit in your birth chart for 2025. I record those personally. You'll then see that there is an Ask 3 Horary Questions option where you can get 3 horary questions to redeem whenever you'd like within the year ahead. Those are kind of yes, no predictive questions. Will I get the job? Will we get together? Things like that. Then you'll see the Astrology for Complete Beginners course is also discounted through the Kickstarter. This is a great 10 hours worth of content for people who are brand new to astrology. So whether that's you or maybe a gift for somebody else. And then you're going to see some individual master classes that are greatly discounted from the past year. So all of 2024's masterclass series are the archives of which 8 to 10 hours each are on sale. And then scroll up a little bit more and you'll see one of our most popular offerings, which are the year ahead horoscope readings. These year ahead horoscope readings include 30 to 45 minutes of a breakdown of all the major transits of the year ahead for each sun and rising signs. You get all of them with this package, which is a great deal. It's like 10 hours worth of content, 8, 9, 10 hours, somewhere in there. I haven't finished recording all of them yet. So as of the time I'm recording this, I'm anticipating it'll land around 10 hours. But yeah, anyway, so you scroll up, you'll see those horoscope videos will all be delivered to you right around January 1st when the Kickstarter ends. Scroll up a little bit more, you'll find The Oracle Speaks, which is my book, and this is being released chapter by chapter. It is a book about the inner experience of learning to speak with oracles, and it is being released chapter by chapter in both text and audiobook form, so you can listen along to my new book. And that takes us up to the Astrology of 2025 video. This, for your donation at the $50 level, gives you an exclusive talk breaking down all of the major astrological transits of 2025. I look in depth at some of the biggest things happening in the year ahead and break them down in advance. And that's the only place I release that video or that take on the whole year ahead. Finally, at the very top, the most basic level of donation, you'll see the Astrology of 2025 calendar. This is a PDF calendar we design and make that allows you to track and move along with the astrology as the year unfolds. This is also great if you want to track what we're going to be talking about week by week on my channel. You'll get a glimpse at the biggest transits of each day and month and week. And that will give you some sense of where we're heading with our coverage of the astrology on the channel as the year unfolds. So again, any questions about any of the rewards that you see, email us info@nightlightastrology. Link is in the description, comments, or on the website, nightlightastrology.com. Help us get to 1,937 backers by January 1st. We deeply appreciate your contribution. We try to make sure we have some really special rewards to say thank you when you contribute. All right, take it easy. Bye.